This is NHTV2, North Haven Government Television, a service of North Haven Community Television. The following program is brought to you through the support of the town of North Haven.
Welcome to the 2019 North Haven Memorial Day Weekend Parade and Ceremonies. I'm Ken Bennett, and joining me this year is
Lonnie Reed.
A very familiar name.
It's so good to be with you.
What
a perfect way to spend Memorial Day.
Absolutely. And for the record, Lonnie and I were on competing television stations some time back. She was on Channel 3 and I was on Channel 8. And you've just finished 10 years in the state legislature and retired from that.
I have, although I'm still doing a little work on energy issues with the governor and the region. So I'm still keeping a hand in. Yeah.
Now, we carried the ceremonies live earlier today, the Memorial Day ceremonies, and we were at that, and it was a very poignant situation there. You'll see some empty chairs, and it was sad to see how many World War II veterans in particular have passed away in the past year.
I think it was 15. They read 15 names, and then the name of a Judge Flanagan, who had been who had been an honorary veteran and very, very committed to all of the activities in town. So it's very, very moving to see so many empty chairs, but that's where we are.
Now, if you're watching this on Saturday morning, May 25th, it's live. Will be replayed on Facebook and websites, but right now we're going to recapture the ceremonies that took place earlier today in memory of our fallen heroes. Salute the flag.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the memorial service here on the green. Chaplain Vanessa Williams will offer a prayer on cover.
Let us pray. Almighty God, with bowed heads we pause to pay tribute to our honored and valiant departed comrades. Grant that we may ever be mindful of their service and sacrifice to God and country. Some consecrate our country's soil, while others sleep around the seas. Still others rest in places that are unknown to us. Hallow their graves, and give courage and comfort to the loved ones they left behind. Help us to remember with reverence their valor and devotion, so we can enjoy the freedom we have today. God, teach us to honor them by ever cherishing the ideals for which they fought. Keep us steadfast in the cause of human rights and liberties, of law and order, and true Americanism. Keep us forever firm in righteousness, humble of heart, and unselfish in purpose. Amen. Cover.
I would like to make some announcements about this ceremony. Ceremony has been going on for 73 years. 1946 was the first year that they had the parade here in North Haven. And we are celebrating 100th anniversary of the American Legion and the 100th anniversary of World War I. And all our brothers and sisters that served this country in honor, so we can have a celebration like this every year. Would like to introduce the distinguished guests we have here today. First Selectman Mike Frieda, Senator of the 3rd District, 34th District, Lee Forenzo. Am I pronouncing that right? Fasano. And State Representative Dave Yacarino. We've already placed the wreath here. And I would like to bring up Vanessa Williams, our chaplain, to read the Legionnaires who have passed this year.
Kenneth Aldrich, John Boletto, Arthur Canavaro, George Gorman, John Graff, Frank Capinos, Paul Keel, Frank LaMonica, Walter Lucia, William McCann, Frank Burkillo, Julius Stankiewicz, Frank Telarczyk, Conrad Walsh. Gerald Williams.
There's one person I would like to honor that is an honorary member of our post. He's done so much for us at the American Legion, who passed away this year. The Honorable Judge John Flanagan. I'd like to call up on the First Selectman Mike Freda with his remarks.
Thank you very much, Charlie. I'd like to thank those who've gathered with us this morning as we kick off Memorial Day weekend here in North Haven. As we look back, these monuments here represent a permanent symbol, an indelible symbol for those that have served and given their lives to serve this great country. And we in North Haven are tremendously grateful for that. And we're tremendously grateful for our post-76 and our veterans who are part of the very fabric of our community. Charlie mentioned the 100-year anniversary of the Legion, the 100-year anniversary of World War I, and let us not forget soon the 75th anniversary of D-Day in 1944. As we move forward here in North Haven, we will never forget those who've served our country to allow us to live in the life, liberties, and freedom today. Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here. We will continue to support on an ongoing basis all of the wonderful veterans in North Haven and all of the wonderful veterans throughout the United States. Thank you.
I'd like to have State Senator Larry Ferrando. He's not here. Okay. Our State Representative Dave Yacarino.
Thank you, Charlie, and good morning. It's an honor and privilege to speak and say a few words for the men and women with their valor and their courage that gave the ultimate sacrifice. From the beginning of this country, from the Revolutionary War to the Civil War, where Decoration Day which was Memorial Day right after the Civil War, from World War I, which is the 100th anniversary. But behind me is the monument for World War II, and like Mike Freda said, it's the 75th anniversary of D-Day coming up soon. And in that invasion, we had approximately 24,000 troops, and over 4,400 Americans and British soldiers and sailors died in one day, and over 10,000 casualties. But the amazing thing about men and women in this country and around the world, how they stand up for freedom and liberty, and we have that because of them. So I want to give thanks to the men and women that serve this country today, then, and always, but really for the liberty and freedoms that we have today. And give thanks to Post 76, the town of North Haven, for always promoting this event, which is so critical to our fabric for our country. But it's the people that make the difference. It's you that make the difference. So be good to one another. Like the veteran, they stand up and do what's right, and they work as a team. We should, as Americans, always work as a team and honor one another, be good to one another. And I want to thank you all. And God bless the veterans, their families. The families sacrifice so much. And God bless you all, and have a wonderful weekend. But every day, this week it's Memorial Day weekend, but every day we should try to take a minute out of our time and give thanks. Thank you. God bless.
I'd like to have our past commander, Charlie Morrison, with remarks. Thank you, Charlie. Bring you the greetings of the state commander for the state of Connecticut. We have a wonderful day. We have wonderful people, and I hope things continue to go well. I'd like to thank you for coming this morning. This is the show, if you will, that's really important. This is the time when we say to not only the people that served, but for the people whose families served. I know in my case, my wife, my children put in the same amount of time that I did during my tour of active duty, during my tour of reserve duty, and they deserve as much recognition as those who put on the uniform. I'd like to just thank you for coming today. Appears the good Lord gave us a wonderful day, and we need to be thankful for all those who served in whatever capacity. Thank you. I'd like to call on Vanessa Rutledge, our chaplain, for the final prayer. Uncover.
As we depart one from the other, may God bless us and keep us. Into his gracious protection we commit ourselves. May he be near us to defend us, with us to refresh us, around us to preserve us, before us to guide us, behind us to justify us, and above us to bless us, and keep us from all evil. Amen. Cover.
I'd like to call on Piper George Thomas. He will play Amazing Grace in closing. Forward, march.
That was the first year that we've had this group doing the bagpipes, but it was a year in which we saw the American Legion lose quite a piece of the membership in terms of the World War II veterans. 15 names and one honorary veteran were read during the ceremony, as you saw. And they mentioned that we're coming up on the 75th anniversary of D-Day, and you have quite a connection to D-Day.
Well, not exactly D-Day, but I was in Normandy last year with my husband, and I had actually been there before I covered Ronald Reagan there many, many years ago. But we were on a bus, and we weren't able to. So to really go and experience it, and having the French come out from the villages, and when they heard we were Americans, and talk about how when they were tiny little kids, when the Americans came through, but to stand on the cliffs and to realize that 17-year-old American boys came across those sands, many of them didn't make it, climbed up those cliffs, and then just began the whole process of saving the world. And it makes you, it's an awesome experience to realize how many people sacrifice their lives. But it also tells you who we are as a nation. And that is so reassuring, That's what we're made of. We're made of that kind of thing. So it was really quite remarkable to know that one member of this unit is still alive, the D-Day unit. That's really quite something.
He wasn't there today, but I'm sure in the year ahead something is going to be commemorating that event, and hopefully he'll be able to participate. I'm just checking. The parade stepped off from North Haven High School, and it takes a while to get here. We have some things to talk about and meet, and although we haven't worked this out entirely, I'd like to get a signal if we could have the interview with the Grand Marshal of the parade, if that's available to us to run very quickly. And it's Charles Morrissey, who is a past commander of the American Legion here, and for many years he officiated at the ceremonies. And so here's the Grand Marshal on his way to the parade. Past Commander Charlie Morrissey, Grand Marshal for this parade. You've been with this parade for how long?
It's over 30 years.
We saw during the ceremonies 15 names of veterans and one honorary veteran had passed away in the past year. What is happening to the American Legion and this ceremony?
Well, the American Legion is losing members from World War II and Korea at a very rapid rate. We still have 2 members left in our post that I know of that are World War II members. And we have about 605 members in the post, the biggest it's ever been.
What's the importance of remembering all these veterans, especially this year?
Well, this year is the 100th anniversary of the closing of World War I, and the Legion began in 1946, actually began a little earlier. And many of the people who fought in World War I started the American Legion in Paris. And it's grown over the years. It's declined somewhat since, I'd say 1970, thereabouts.
And we have the anniversary of D-Day coming up.
Yeah, we still have the anniversary of D-Day. I believe one of our surviving World War II veterans landed at the D-Day.
Commander, thanks again for your service and for all that you've done. And it's an honor to see you again and to see you as the Grand Marshal.
It's good to see you, Ken.
Well, while we're awaiting the arrival of the parade, we haven't reached the curve yet. We have with us someone who, being here is a family tradition.
Yes.
Claire Daisy Cifarelli?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
What's the heritage here?
I grew up in North Haven. I came here as a kid. I brought my children. Now I'm bringing my grandson. This is his 4th year at the parade. He looks forward to it. He slept over last night. He was dressed and ready to go at 6 a.m.
He was with us up until a few seconds
Yeah,
ago.
he took off. He's camera shy.
Why is it so important, though, for the kids to see this, and your grown daughters?
It's just a tradition we've been doing. I did it with my mom, then they did it with me, and now it's just going passed on. And it's Memorial Day. They should remember the people that fought for this great country we live in.
It's terrific. We can just take a little walk over here and have the camera pick up a little bit of what's going on the sidewalk. And, you know, that sound is something called a popper.
Yeah, the kids are all
I get
popping
very nervous when I hear a sound like that these days. And it's littering in the street there, but I know they'll pick up every one of those pieces. And we're going to just ask you one more question here. And we're going to have someone come up for, if she didn't walk away, no, she's going to be coming. Tell us about the Dacey family. This is, your family tree is quite
there was
interesting.
9 of us. I'm one of 9. We grew up in North Haven. My father was an active police commissioner in North Haven for many years, and my brothers are all members of the Knights, as well as my husband, which we're standing in front of the Knights of Columbus. It's just in our blood, our DNA.
Do you have any idea who was the first Dacey to come here?
My father.
So where did he come from?
He came from Worcester, Mass. He bought the house in North Haven before my parents were actually married on Standish Avenue. So they got married and moved here because he got a job with the Knights.
Connected to you?
No, that's one of my brothers right there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What I also want to know is, how do you feel being here in light of the whole world? But this is North Haven. This is really America.
This is my hometown. It always will be. I haven't lived in North Haven since I've been married, but North Haven's still my hometown.
Mm-hmm. And we're live this morning, as you can tell. And I'm just going to give a little hand signal here. Thank you.
This is my mom's best friend.
This is your mom's best friend?
Fran, yes.
Really?
Okay.
Yes, Fran
Well,
is my mom's best friend.
Fran and Lonnie are going to take it from here. Claire, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Claire.
Take care.
So Fran Bartlett is famous. The minute I rolled into town, everybody said, Fran's going to be here. Fran's going to be here. And it's really marvelous. You said that you moved here when your husband came to work at IBM, and you raised all 5 of your children here. And so have you been marching and waving flags and all of that for all of these years?
Yeah. I'm not so much marching, but wearing red, white, blue.
Caesar.
I got a picture probably that was taken
came
30
here
years ago
very
by the
young.
same chick.
And your last name?
That's great. So we were just talking to some folks who said that they came as children and then they brought their children. You said you brought your children.
Right. My kids were in drum corps, North Haven Drum Corps for 15 years, 5 of them. So we did North Haven parades probably 15, 16 years with the drum corps. I've done it longer than that, just coming to the parade. I try not to miss it. I love it.
That's great. And you, your kids are living all over the world now, right?
They are. I have one in South Carolina. I have one in Europe and Italy. I have one at the Cape, and I have one in Buffalo, and one here. My youngest one is here in Connecticut. So.
Oh, that's great. And do they ask you? I mean, will they ask today how the parade went in North Haven?
I don't know. I think I'm more interested in it than they are.
Do you have a Facebook page?
I do.
Okay, so we need to put a lot of pictures of you and share them with your kids and your grandkids.
Yeah, they're all on Facebook, so they would get that. I do have a Facebook page.
That's great. So you grew up in Vermont.
I did. I was born in Vermont, but I really grew up in Massachusetts. And then we moved to Massachusetts when I was 11, and then I've been here since I was 64 years, so.
Wow. And you said that this feels like home to you.
It is. It does feel like home. When my husband passed, everybody said, was I going to move back to Massachusetts? And I said, not in a heartbeat. This is home.
And what is it about this community that really makes it feel?
I think it's a friendly community. It's a nice community. We were very active in church. My husband was a deacon at St. Barnabas for 29 years. So we did, we've done the church thing, we've done the school thing, and it's just home. And I mean, for my kids, if I move someplace else and they came to see me, it's not home to them. They come back here and they meet their friends from school, and so it's just I love it, and I love the people here. I'm a people person, so I mean, I've made a lot of friends here. I'm active at the Senior Center in North Haven. I love them there. It's like my home away from home.
Okay, you said you used to march with the red hat?
Yeah, the Red Hats. We had a Red Hat group at the senior center, and we did march with them for 2 or 3 years in this parade, and the New Haven one too. So I can't walk that far anymore.
Well, maybe we should get you a nice convertible. Can ride in one of these parades. That feels like, I mean, your tradition here.
Right. Red, white, and blue would be good.
There we go. There we go. That sounds like a really good solution.
Right.
Great. Well, it's
a beautiful day for the parade.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And we're waiting for the parade. The first selectman was telling us how many. He said that youth sports has exploded in this town, so there's so many games going on right now.
That's right.
And he said sports that they never had before, like lacrosse and soccer. It used to be baseball, and
That's where probably a lot of the.
he said a lot of young families are experiencing that with their kids.
Yeah. But it's a lovely parade, so I'm glad it's a nice day for it.
Yeah.
So.
Great. Well, thank you. Thank you for talking to me.
You're welcome.
Okay.
It's a popper. Okay. We just changed the line up here. Caesar and Amanda.
Yes.
And what brings you here? Can you take your hat off?
Take it off?
Yeah. I mean, or lift it.
I can take my
That's
glasses
it.
off.
Okay.
That's better,
So
right?
what brings you to the parade, and where's the rest of the family?
They're actually marching right now.
Somewhere.
Eventually.
And what
With
unit?
Max Inouye baseball.
And what's the importance of Max Inouye? Because I understand this town wouldn't be the
Over
town without
60
him.
years, Max Inouye has been, it's a baseball town. At the end of the day, it's a baseball
And how
town.
many levels do they have, or teams?
Oh, gosh. They start all the way from 5 years old up to 12 is Little League, and then they have Babe Ruth, which is, 13, 14, 15, all the way up.
What's it like walking around with an American flag on your cap in this town?
Oh, it's everything. It's a Republican town. We love this town. I'm born and raised here.
Well, Democrats wear American flags
Well,
too, don't they?
That's true. But I've been born and raised. I went to Montauk Elementary, North Haven High, North Haven Middle School. So I'm a lifer. Indian for life.
That's the name of the team.
That's right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Caesar, what brings you out on a day like this?
Well, I moved to North Haven a little over a year ago, and I'm also a Marine Corps veteran, so it has a special meaning on today. So I've come to embrace North Haven as my home, and just hanging out with some friends.
Tell us about your service in the Corps.
Well, it was a while ago. It wasn't recent, but it was a lot.
That's okay. There are a lot of people here who were Marines long before you.
That's right. Oh, it was great. A lot of traveling, great camaraderie, great patriotism. Just got to see the world,
What did you see?
Well, I spent a lot of time in Japan and Korea and the Philippines and Okinawa. I was with a flight squadron, so we were always on the move. So, and a couple other ones that we came to talk about.
It's otherwise you'd have to dispatch me.
Something would happen.
But it's interesting to hear the names of places that in World War II and then Korea and now today are still being protected by the United States.
Absolutely. There's a lot of troops overseas in various places, especially Korea. That's one of our strongest allies in the Far East.
So as you look at this town, where did you come from?
I was born and raised in Connecticut, but I was more in the Fairfield side. I was born in Bridgeport Hospital. I was raised in Black Rock, Bridgeport. But then I moved away for a number of years, and coming back, I'm a new grandfather to a 3-year-old grandson. So North Haven is my home. I'm the bank manager here at one of the local banks here in North Haven. So I made a great choice.
Which bank are you with?
Citizens Bank.
And everybody had the afternoon off.
Well, I did.
And Amanda,
Management.
how do you see the future for your family, in terms of a youth growing up here today?
Oh, it's second to none. I mean, it's the best. It's just a great town. There's nothing really more to say.
What makes it different?
The sense of community. Everyone, it's the saying that it takes a village. It truly does, and we have it here. No matter what it is, pick up my kid, drop off your kid. It's always been that way, and it's still going strong.
Sounds good.
So we'll take it.
Thank you very much, both of you, for joining us. And there's a pathway over there.
Thank you very much.
I don't see any children in the way.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
You
Have a
too.
great day.
Bye-bye. We have two guests, veterans.
I'm Steve Ronsky, United States Air Force.
Where was your service?
Well, I spent a year and a half in Asia and a year and a half in Europe, and I was with the security service.
Can you tell us what that means without somebody disclosing a secret?
I did Morse code, which means that I used to spy on the communists, and especially the Chinese when I was in Asia, and in Europe it was the Soviet Union.
What is your affiliation with the North Haven American Legion post?
Right, I'm in charge of children and youth because after the service I became a teacher and taught in North Haven for 37 years.
What did you teach and what kind of a teacher were you?
Well, I was basically a teacher who had the same mentality as 5th and 6th grade, all subjects. So that worked out pretty well for me.
Great. And the post membership, I understand, is over 600 despite losing members along the way.
Absolutely. We have a great recruitment with Mr. Tom Smith, and we are number 3 in the state at this point.
In size?
Yes, absolutely.
Very good. And I know you, but introduce yourself anyway.
Yes, I'm Stanley Zelinsky. I was in the Air Force, obviously, and I was in security police.
Where?
I was stationed, instead of going to Vietnam, they sent me to Korea when they took the Pueblo. They sent
the
a whole
ship
bunch
that...
of the spy ship, what they call the spy ship.
What happened to the Pueblo?
What happened to it? We got it back eventually. We got that, and we got all the men back.
How long did that take, do you recall?
Took about 7 months.
Wow. We've had scary times with Korea off and on over the decades.
Oh, yes. Yeah, still kind of like a little. The DMZ, we were close to the DMZ.
You kind of like North Haven?
Oh, I love North Haven. Yeah, it's great. Been here for 30 years. Moved from New Jersey, actually.
What's the difference?
Well, it's just the atmosphere and everything else. Taxes, of course, are crazy here, but so is New Jersey.
Well, what's it like on these Memorial Day weekends and Veterans Day in North Haven?
Well, actually, like I know when we came back from the service, you kind of like weren't greeted the same as the servicemen of today. So we were kind of like more or less you had to hide your identity because everybody seemed to dislike the servicemen.
That certainly has changed.
Yeah, it sure has, which is great.
From the American Legion perspective, are you getting very many of the young veterans?
Well, a few. A lot of it has to do with, and I think it's based on what's happened over the years. When you get like retirement age or semi-retirement, you're looking to kind of like expand what you're doing. So most of the people are probably in my age group. We do have one guy who I kind of worked with for many years, George Grueller, who is pushing 98, and he was the guy who helped liberate the concentration camps.
He used to be here every year.
That's true. This year he couldn't make it, and I bring him to the meetings quite often.
He's in, is it Masonic here somewhere?
Yeah, he lives at Ashler Village, and he's been married to his wife, Evelyn, for 73 plus years.
We used to see them at these ceremonies, and she was always here seated watching, and he was one of the people who worked very, very hard to make the ceremonies and the parade happen.
Absolutely. George, I wouldn't put it past him. He might be back next year.
Who are the people that have taken over and are making things happen?
Well, there are quite a few of them. I mean, too many to name. But our commander is Charlie Burke, and next year he's going to be the commander of the 2nd District. And we think Bob Maturo will be our commander here.
You're one of the largest in the state, American Legion posts.
Third largest in the state, and that's primarily because of our recruitment, which is our first senior vice named Tom Smith.
The chaplain that we saw this morning, who is she?
Her name is Vanessa Rutledge, and Vanessa Rutledge has been with the post probably about 10 years, and she's a very dedicated lady, and she's going to be continuing for many years to come.
She was quite eloquent, and the whole ceremony, it's always very poignant, but she
She just stands out, is the best I can put it.
She's quite a lady, absolutely. And she was in during, the Vietnam era as well. And she is a, North Haven resident.
What's your family situation these days?
As far as what?
Kids?
Oh, yes, I just had a grandson 5 months ago from my youngest child, my daughter.
Living here?
Yes, they all live here. I have 5 kids. I have one son that lives in South Carolina. Everybody else is here.
Why do they stay?
Well, because of me, of course. No, they all live here in Connecticut. And they, when we moved from New Jersey, my oldest kids, they came up with me. We worked at Northeast Graphics, the printing plant that closed in 2008. And then I worked at Quinnipiac University. And my kids actually worked in the same printing plant with me, my older ones. And the oldest, he lost his job here at Northeast and then at Danbury Printing, and then he moved to South Carolina. He's a truck driver now.
Wow.
But my other 2 sons work at Allied in Manchester.
So you're homegrown practically.
Yeah, well, I guess, yeah, this is our home, so yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us, and hopefully there'll be a parade coming along soon.
Well, it should be any minute now.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ken.
Take care. Look forward to seeing you next year with George Bruler. That would be wonderful. Joining us now, Walt Spader, very well known in political affairs in town, and a fan of the Green Lantern. What, could you get it for the parade to come by?
No, it's all good. Nice to see you, Ken. Haven't seen you in a while. Yeah, no, I always have my comic book, references on Green Lantern lanyard, Green Lantern hat. On my backpack, I got Toy Story keychains. So whatever's current.
Hey, are you going to grow up ever?
No, why grow up? It's a great place to grow up, though, here in North Haven.
Tell us about your affinity for North Haven and what makes this town especially patriotic.
We moved here 16, 17 years ago now. And it is just the kind of town that, the parade, it brings everyone out here. A very, very patriotic town, very engaged town, great community to be a part of. And I love being here.
What have you learned about the town that stands out quickly?
Well, okay, it's a good killing question. I don't have a quick answer for it, but hey, the parade is great.
And the people come out and vote.
The people do come out and vote. Sometimes not so much so in budgets. We wish we would have more engagement, but in regular elections, it is a pretty great involvement.
Thank you. Enjoy the parade. Take care. And guess what? There is a parade.
I just want to tell you how well I take direction. You told me to find a parade. I went and I found you the parade. Here it comes.
I think they would follow you anywhere.
There are so many wonderful people lined up all up and down, and it's just, people are really, and again, multi-generational. It's great.
Okay, well, at this point, let's go to the parade.
Parade. Great that you found it. And yep, we start off here, of course, with the lead police car here in North Haven. And they always, of course, kick off everything in the parade. We're going to see police and fire vehicles here and military vehicles.
And the police department is so wonderful. They have been protecting and serving for over 70 years. In fact, just a few years ago, they had their 70th anniversary in the town. So a special thank you to all of the service people here today who are helping make this parade safe and helping to celebrate this occasion.
And of course, a well-deserved, basically new police headquarters being built. Just saw Chief McLaughlin the other day, and they're thinking that it looks like potentially a July 1st opening date of the new North Haven Police Headquarters. A long time in the making and definitely something we need. Now, this beautiful Mustang here has an important passenger. The parade marshal, Charlie Morrissey, is in the front passenger seat of that car. And Charlie, of course, probably would be known by a lot of people as a longtime teacher in the North Haven school system as the parade marshal rides on by out of the picture in that Mustang. A lot of classic cars, too. So there's some veterans as well coming by the screen. Just some beautiful classic cars. That's one of the things, Sims, I always look forward to. Is there's some new, muscle cars from today, like the Mustang we saw, but and we see some classic vehicles coming through as well. Vehicles such as just cars, but even classic fire trucks and classic tractors are part of the parade. So those are the things I, as a guy, look forward to. I like the trucks and the cars. Even as a boy, that's all I came for. Fire trucks, police cars. That's what I like.
And that's the beauty of Memorial Day as well, because what we're doing is honoring and celebrating that which has come before, all of those that have served. And so by bridging old and new together, it really is a wonderful occasion. It's wonderful with the beautiful day that we have outside that the parade is going through. I also really love the cars. My parents never ceased to tell me about, back in their time, the kind of vehicles that they would drive around in. A lot of people lining the streets as well today. You see a lot of the green balloons out there and people waving their American flags. It's really great to see the patriotic atmosphere that we've got going on.
Oh, no doubt. And I got to say, too, I got to ask you this, Sims. I'm always seeing the vendors go by. And do you remember as a kid, your parents buying you, I don't know, Spider-Man balloons or figures or different things from the vendors? I always look forward to that as a kid.
Oh, absolutely. If I didn't get my lightsaber, I threw a fit. I had to have a lightsaber. I needed to wield it around. It's still a nightmare for my parents to think about. Right. But we always enjoyed the time.
Classic Thunderbird to the bottom left of your screen, and then a more modern day, although no longer made, PT Cruiser. Again, some of the classic vehicles. Some of the dignitaries, actually some of the veterans, are just getting off the trailer here. They ride the route on the trailer. It is a long route. Unless you're young and in real good shape, you definitely want to take advantage of transportation like this.
And on that note, for everybody watching and who's at the parade today, please stay hydrated, drink lots of water. It's very important. It's going to be a warm day out. And on the note of walking a lot, I want to make sure that we stay healthy.
Of course, in addition to our Comcast and Frontier viewers, we want to welcome our viewers on Facebook. We've got actually got a comment from somebody in Florida watching, and you just never know. Facebook, of course, worldwide, so we got people all over the place watching our live parade coverage today. Next, we have the Silver Dolphins. They are the out of the Naval Submarine School in Groton, the Silver Dolphins Honor Guard.
Real classic. Thunderbird.
Yeah, the Navy Sub School, the submarine school, is fascinating as well. It was founded initially in 1868 and then rededicated in 1916. People who attend the basic sub program in particular get an 8-week program of really rigorous environment to see what it would be like living in a submarine under the water.
Have you done that yet? Or?
Not yet, maybe next year.
But knowing the adventurous type person you are, I think that's on the horizon.
It's definitely something I would like to try.
Yeah. Just a great day today. Kids, people of all ages here today to pay honor to those who have served.
Memorial Day has a really rich history in itself. Originally, it was known as Decoration Day, and May 5th, 1866 is the first credited day that people got together, closed down the town, and celebrated fallen veterans in Waterloo, New York, of all places. And General James Garfield, at the time, in 1971, gave the official address at Arlington Cemetery, which was considered the official day of Memorial Day, before Congress made it the last Monday of every May.
You've got some great history on this stuff.
Smartphones, my friend, you can access everything.
It's amazing, yes. Right. The Silver Dolphins marching by here. Great to see these gentlemen are in the parade every year. We can give a little bit of a listen here to the sounds from the Silver Dolphins.
Now we have the U.S. Navy subbase, Groton, Connecticut.
we see the Landcraft Pipe and Drum Corps. That's, again, 131 years that history this North Haven entity has. Let's give a listen to the sound of the Landcraft Pipe and Drum Corps. Now, Sims, this is the North Haven Republican Town Committee put together this float. This is the Unknown Soldier's Tomb, and they really did, as you look at it when you get a closer look, they really did a great job of recreating, there you see it, on a smaller scale, the Unknown Soldier's Tomb. If you go down to, I believe this is in Arlington as well, if you go down there, you'll see obviously a much larger version of this, but a beautiful job on that Unknown Soldier's Tomb.
And with the Unknown Soldier's Tomb down at Arlington Cemetery, since its dedication, there has always been an honor guard there 7 days a week, every minute of the day, rain or shine, snowstorm, whatever, always making sure that our lost soldiers are never forgotten.
Amazing recreation, and that really is one of the sites today that really says why we're here today. Not so much here today to buy balloons from vendors or have a hot dog or whatnot, but to pay tribute to those who have served.
And to appreciate the freedom that we have.
Sure, yeah.
You know, we're able to sit here talking about a parade. A lot of people do cookouts during Memorial Day, and we have that because of the sacrifices that our fallen soldiers have made and our current veterans as well have made.
Governor's Foot Guard and the Foot Guard Band are next. And again, we'll give a listen to the sounds of the Governor's Foot Guard Band. And we've got someone that really thinks this well out, Sims, because we can see that a street sweeper has been placed right behind.
An underappreciated but necessary service.
That's right.
Very necessary.
So thanks to the gentleman driving the street sweeper.
Keeping our clean streets clean.
Throughout the parade, we're going to check in with Ken Bennett and Lonnie Reed, who will have interviews with different interesting people here along the route, veterans and just observers and longtime North Haven residents. We've already seen some of those, including some of the members of the Dacey family who have been in town for quite a long time.
And if you're following us on our live stream right now, please comment and let us know about your experience. We'd love to hear from
you. Next is the Connecticut Valley Field Music. You know much about them, Sims?
So I don't have all that much on them in particular, but they go after the... Oh, you know what? I'm so sorry. Yes, I do. So this was a group of gentlemen who came together in the 1980s, who appreciated this kind of music, and they ended up forming the Valley Field Music.
In the 1980s? Mm-hmm. Wow. To your point, I want to say hi to some folks watching on Facebook. Margot from Belton, Texas. Linda, Kevin, Mary, a whole bunch of others watching on Facebook. Thanks for watching our live stream on Facebook.
So going back to the Connecticut Valley Field Music, they were founded in 1988, and they wear traditional Army uniforms from 1862. Excuse me, 1988 and then 1862.
Yep.
A lot of dates, a lot of history.
Oh, I know. Are you a history buff?
I am a huge history buff.
Yeah. I'm a big local history buff in North Haven here, but even, globally as well, but I think more of a local.
Our country is quite amazing.
We are going to now take a quick jaunt out onto the street. Ken Bennett, Lonnie Reed are standing by, and we're going to see who we can get here.
Here for a second. How are you?
Good to see you. Good to see you.
Wow.
So, it feels very Norman Rockwell, doesn't it, out here?
That is the quintessential
Governor!
American parade. And wonderful day. You doesn't get any better.
Morning. Nice to see you. Oh, it feels so Norman Rockwell out here, and it's got to be the America that we're all fighting for.
It is a beautiful day. We've had the pleasure of seeing so many veterans along the way. It's
better than Norman Rockwell.
Better than Norman Rockwell. That's where he got his inspiration here today.
That was Massachusetts.
He couldn't have done better.
Connecticut.
Couldn't have done better.
How are you? You got to be ready for anything in life. How are you? Give you a hug? Whoa! All right. So we were just saying, how does this feel to be out of D.C. and experience a little real America?
This is the reality. Yeah. This is where people are, what they care about, etc. We live in an alternate universe.
I know you do. I'm glad you're there.
Sanity restored.
Thank you, sweetheart. Bye, guys. Well with you? Yeah, it's great. Great. Senator! Dave! Woohoo! Right there. Hey, what can I tell you? It's good to see you. Yeah, good. How are you guys? So, this is one of these moments where we're all together, we're all American, we're all really appreciating what it is all of these veterans have fought for. How do you feel in a day like today?
It's beautiful weather. I mean, you can't beat the weather. It's a great parade. It's good turnout. People have been waiting for a summer day. We got it. It had to be Memorial Day. Nothing could be better.
Yeah. How about you, Representative?
I think it's a wonderful way to celebrate the lives of men and women that sacrifice their lives for us and our freedom. And every day we should act as Memorial Day and come together as Americans and people of this country, great country, and give thanks.
Absolutely.
It's good to see you
Great to see you. Okay. Goodbye.
I'll give you a hug. That was awesome.
Good to see you, Dave.
Great to hear there from, of course, Lonnie Reed, besides having a former career as a television news anchor, was a state representative for Brantford, the 102nd district for, was it 16 years?
Oh, yep. No, well, not 6, let's see, 12.
12 years. Yeah. But she was quite a dedicated state rep, and just recently last year decided not to seek re-election. But she, of course, has a tremendous career in broadcasting, was an anchorwoman at Channel 5 in New York, WNEW. Now WNYW, and of course up at Channel 3 in Hartford. So she's got that background coupled in with just knowing the folks like Senator Blumenthal and the state representative Dave Yaccarino, Senator Pisano, and of course Congressman Rosa DeLauro. So great to get some interviews on the route. This is the North Haven Police Department, I believe. There is Stan Lofquist, longtime sergeant, I think he's a captain now, and one of the police dogs. Very good asset to have in the police force. So we have 2 police dogs actually. Stony Creek Fife and Jump Corps out of Brantford. Lonnie Reed's hometown.
I really love this traditional music, especially for the few times of year that you get to hear it. It really does make you feel like you come from a bit of a different time.
It does, and too bad they didn't have some sort of maybe big concert where you could see these entities perform longer duration, because, what do you hear them, a few minutes here, really? But North Haven Fire Department, that's the rescue vehicle, as well as the newest addition to the fleet of apparatus, the truck you're seeing go by there, Tower 1. For many years, North Haven had all white fire engines. Then they switched in the late 70s, I guess it was, to the lime green or lime yellow. And now they're switching over to the traditional red and white apparatus. North Haven, of course, besides the paid career firefighters at headquarters, Company 1 on Broadway, also has 3 very active volunteer. Northeast on Washington Avenue, North Haven, Monowese, Company 2 on Quinnipiac Avenue, North Haven, and of course Ridge Road fire department as well. So we see some of the vehicles housed in the volunteer fire departments here as well today.
And, you know, I'd like to give another very special thank you, and I think on behalf of all of us here, for all of people who serve in the police department, in the fire department, EMS, who ensure that our town remains safe and secure and, you know, puts themselves in the line of danger where we do not. So thank you so much to all of them.
You're right. They work holidays, they work long shifts. One of the things I never thought about, and this would affect me greatly, but middle of the night, these guys are sleeping, those alarms go off. They don't have time to kind of sit there and try to wake up. They got to bolt up, jump out of bed, run into the apparatus bay, get on the truck and respond. And, you know, that's a lot of stress physically, just jumping out of bed and responding like that. So these guys give a lot of their lives to their career, probably more than a lot of others, other than, you know, police and such.
What is your favorite color for any of the emergency vehicles?
Well, I'm a traditionalist.
Like the all white?
I kind of like the all white, and then it's difficult. Then I got used to the lime green or lime yellow, I guess. And we had this color here, these lime yellow trucks for many years, but about 2-3 years ago, they decided to change over to the red and white. The fire apparatus, sparkling clean, looking good for the parade. I mean, they look good all the time as well, but for the parade as well.
It helps that the day is so stunningly sunny and beautiful outside.
Yeah.
It gives it a nice shine.
Yeah, you can see the crowd's reflection in the side of the fire engines here. This is the actual fire personnel. Fire Chief, Deputy Fire Chief. We see Fire Chief Paul Januszewski and Deputy Chief DJ Marcarelli, some of the other career firefighters. Fire Department recently adding I believe it's called a gator. You see that coming up just a bit. Again, some of the career firefighters. Fire Chief in the center there. There's Commissioner Peter Criscolo, longtime member of the Fire Commission. And of course, there's the gator I talked about. They can use that for emergency situations, for example, at Peters Rock and other areas that may not be accessible with a traditional vehicle, and now have that gator. And if they have to, they would have a way to transport somebody in that. Say somebody got hurt on top of Peters Rock or what have you. They could use that vehicle to get them down to to an ambulance waiting in the parking lot of Peters Rock, for example.
It truly is amazing what technology allows us to do now.
This is one of the classic fire trucks, and that white that North Haven had for many, many years. New Haven still uses all-white fire engines. This is a classic Mack fire engine. And I do remember this in service in North Haven. That's actually maintained by folks from West Ridge Volunteer Fire Department. And then this red GMC coming up is what Northeast Volunteer Fire Department maintains in terms of a classic engine. Love fire trucks. Used to always watch that show Emergency on NBC. Squad 51, Engine 51.
I always had them as toys growing up. I always had my fire truck.
And of course, every year when Santa Claus comes to North Haven to light the lights on the town Christmas tree, he usually comes in one of these classic fire trucks. What a way to arrive. Here's some classic police cars, a Ford Crown Vic. More recent, still used by some departments, although no longer made. Love my police cars too. Some classics here.
I'm learning a lot from you today.
The second one there looks like a Plymouth Grand Fury, which North Haven had for many years, although we had kind of a dark blue and white. The black and white coming up is really the exact vehicle that was in Adam 12, the TV series. Amazing condition these cars are in. Plymouth or Dodge here. The light blue and white, the NYPD replica. That's Ted Stockman, still on the North Haven Police Force, and that's one of his classic cars. He's got a few. Ted Stockman grew up in North Haven. Love his picture in the back window, too. Way to go, Ted. The Marquis of Granby, Fife and Drum is coming up right after the police. Know anything about the Marquis of Granby? No? Well, I can tell you this. They're here every year and have been for as long as I can remember. Let's give a listen to the Marquis of Granby. Participant in the North Haven Parade, the Marquis of Granby Fife and Drum Corps.
And I have a little history for them now if you'd like to hear.
Sure.
So they were founded in 1969 in Granby, Connecticut, and it's one of 120 ancient corps registered with the Company of Fifers and Drummers, and one of only 15 nationwide with an all-youth membership.
Wow,
it's fascinating.
50 years, that's amazing. Big contingent always here in the parade are the youth athletes in North Haven. And I believe this is Max Sinaway baseball. Oh, I'm sorry, football. This is North Haven Youth Football. Athletics here, youth athletics, a big thing in North Haven, has always been a huge component of life in North Haven. Whether it's youth football, soccer, the Max Sinaway baseball, which we'll be seeing, it is a big thing and important to a lot of people here in town.
It's great for the whole family, you know, brings the family together, gets you outside, gets you participating in things, and brings up pride as a town.
Definitely. Still coming up, the high school band, middle school band, the Milford Volunteer Fife and Drum Corps, the Gaelic Pipe Band, also the Pyramid Shriners, of course. What would a parade be without them? And this is Special Olympics Connecticut we just saw go by, and now the North Haven high school band. We're going to sit back and give a listen to the sounds of the talents of the North. There's the Special Olympics Connecticut. We'll give a listen to the sounds of the North Haven High School band.
Ever do band back in high school?
I did. I probably wish I did, but you didn't do it either?
I didn't do it either. I was a theater child.
Ah, okay.
Right.
Now we have, I believe, Max Sinaway. Yep, this is Max Sinaway. As you can tell, very popular is the Max Sinaway baseball. North Haven soccer. You a soccer boy ever or no?
Yeah, mild fan. I was always a huge football fan. Was my thing.
Okay.
Phil Simms had to do it.
We're also going to see today, of course, one of the big highlights, the Connecticut Hurricanes, coming up a little bit later on in the parade, towards like the last part of the parade. And they always kind of stop in front of the review stand and put on a big show, so that we're really looking forward to. And I always say this every year, Sims, but it's great that people say, well, why do you have your parade on Saturday and not on traditional Memorial Day Monday? Well, one of the advantages of that is that the Hurricanes can be in it, because if it was on Monday here in North Haven, likely the Hurricanes are going to be in Hartford and New Haven, the big city parade. So this is kind of a warm-up for them. It's good for us because we get these terrific participants like the Hurricanes, like the Marquis of Granby and others. So that's an advantage of having it on a Saturday.
And, like I had mentioned before, in 1951, they were competing. They went down to Miami for the A2 National Convention. And as the hotel staff said about the team that was there, they brought more chaos than a hurricane. And that was the moniker that stuck for what brought them. They ended up winning a lot of conventions after that, and they wore it as a badge of honor.
Wow. Great history there.
In 1955 as well, Connecticut was also pretty devastated by hurricanes Diane and Connie.
Ah, yes.
So
it's the flood of 55, of course, sure.
Exactly.
Yep. World champion Taekwondo. Great activity, teaches respect and self-defense. You start to hear those sounds. That is the North Haven Middle School Band.
Take a listen to them right now.
Great performance by world champion Taekwondo. And that is the North Haven Middle School Band right there on your screen. Let's take a listen. Kids, Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, Cub Scouts, Brownies, Daisy
community,
Scouts.
Leadership skills, everything.
Oh, yeah.
Did you buy your Girl Scout cookies for the year?
Yes, I did, actually, a few weeks ago. Or no, it was a few months ago already, I guess. Were you in Cub Scouts?
I was not.
Ah. Interested to see the North Haven Garden Club will be here today, as well as the Corinthian Lodge of Ancient Free and Accepted Masons. They'll be here. Gloria Jean's Dance Studio, as well as Wendy's School of Dance. They always put on some great dance portions of the parade. Cub Scouts saluting those on the reviewing stand. Up there include First Selectman Michael J. Frieda, State Representative Dave Yaccarino, Senator Len Pisano, and the Gaelic Pipe and Drum. They, of course, are out of New Haven. We'll give a listen to the sounds from the Gaelic Pipe and Drum. Next is the Amity Club.
An organization that prides itself on leadership and philanthropy.
And the Lions. There's Alan Sturtz on the left, holding the Lions banner. Alan, a former town clerk tax collector here in North Haven. Back, I believe, in 2007 through 2009. There's WTNH.
Mobile Weather Lab.
Hope Christian Church. Shout out to the North Haven Department of Public Works. Done a great job manicuring and taking care of the green as they always do, and all of the area here near the center. Guys work really hard. Victor Palma, the entire crew. Lynn Sadowski. North Haven Sons and Daughters of Italy. Very active organization in town.
Sons and Daughters of Italy.
Got a nice small break in the parade for a moment, so just want to take a moment to thank everybody who's watching at home and joining us for this broadcast.
And those on Facebook as well. Got quite a good amount of people watching on Facebook.
Coming up now, we have the Vox Church.
And look at the bubbles. Little band playing on the trailer. Kind of a cool float. I can't recall the last time I saw a band perform like that on a float. That's pretty interesting.
Guessing it's a very active service.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, if they gave out awards today for participants, they did quite a job here, Vox Church, with that float. Next is this is a pretty cool float. This is North Haven Congregational Church, right on the green in North Haven. I believe is celebrating, is it 300 years? And really cool there, a miniature version of the actual building that has graced our green for so many years here in North Haven. Reverend Scott Morrow and the entire crew from the church.
They've done an excellent job, like with the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, of building these floats and bringing a lot of these parts of history to life.
Oh yeah, definitely. And again, kudos here to the Congregational Church. That's really cool as well. The work that goes into building something like that. We see the Peters Rock Association. They are kind of charged with really maintaining Peters Rock in a lot of ways. And they have a lot of different fundraising and things that they do, events that they put on at Peters Rock to bring awareness. And so, of course, a park here in North Haven. The town of North Haven owns the property. At one time, condos were proposed to be built, and North Haven residents didn't like that idea and felt that it was too good of a spot with its high peak to waste on building residential units, and thankfully it was saved as a public park. And The Peters Rock Association does a great job. Some beauty queens here. Milford Fife and Drum. Volunteer Fife and Drum is up next. Love the traditional garb. Let's give a listen to Milford Fife and Drum. The Corinthian Lodge of the ancient free and accepted Masons are right behind the Milford Fife and Drum. We're going to head out to the parade route here. Ken Bennett is standing by with our first selectman, Michael Frieda.
We've been live all morning. We're with Mike Frieda, first selectman. The drums are by. This turned out to be quite a parade so far.
Well, the weather, I think, is outstanding. Low humidity. There's so much energy, Ken, up and down marching this parade route with the citizens, the veterans, and we really support our veterans here. And we always need to pause and reflect for those that lost their lives and gave their lives to allow us to live in the life, liberties, and freedoms that we do today.
I've described North Haven as a Norman Rockwell town with a Norman Rockwell parade. It's just so Americana.
Well, thank you for that. What we try to do here is keep the New England charm of this great town, and that's a great analogy, the Norman Rockwell aspect. But I'm also very involved with the economic development in the retail zones, the commercial zones, and the industrial zones to ensure that our tax base is really strong to allow our residents to live in a New England type town with a very low, reasonable tax rate. So we try to balance both. And I appreciate you saying that because that's how we feel also.
And I noticed the church, 300 years.
300 years. That's another thing I'm very proud of, Ken. And for the viewers at NHTV, our clergy really comes together very well, no matter what the denomination is. We recently had a prayer day here in town where all the representatives and the heads of all the churches came and we said prayers for our citizens, our veterans, and all those who continue to serve our country.
In this era of a lot of dissent and a lot of debate and things like that, but North Haven seems to have a level of civility.
I think that's an excellent point. I'm glad to hear that you think that because you being a broadcaster with WTNH for years and years, you've seen a lot down through your career. I know you have, and we have a great deal of respect for you here in North Haven. I think a lot of it starts from the leadership, and what I try to do is really make sure that we handle things in a very positive, professional, bipartisan fashion. We try to listen to people. In the end, I realize that the buck stops with me and the decisions are made. And if people don't like the decisions, I can understand. I try to do what I think is best for the town overall.
It's interesting to see Senator Blumenthal and Congresswoman DeLaura and our Secretary of State, Susan Bisowitz. Did I get her title right?
She's a lieutenant governor now. She's lieutenant
I'm from a little bit back. I got to keep up. But this parade is important, not just for the political spectrum, but we've been talking to people, their families have been coming here for years and years and years. And those popping sounds make a little nerve. The little kids have something called poppers out there. I jump every time I hear one.
We have a great representation today. We invite everyone. Our state delegation, our congresswomen came today. As you mentioned, Senator Blumenthal, myself, my colleagues, Dave and Len Pisano, State Rep Dave Yacarino, State Senator Martin Looney's here. So we, for some reason, when we extend the invitations, we have a lot of people that want to come to this parade, and that is something else I'm very, very grateful for.
You also have the concert series coming up on the green and some observation of the 75th anniversary of D-Day.
D-Day. Yes, 1944, 75 years ago, the first week of June. We start our concerts actually on June 4th. And I wanted to let everyone know that we've added some new bands this year. It should be a very dynamic concert series. And that's one of the things I wanted to accomplish when I took office, adding more concerts to take us right through the end of the summer.
I'm a Shriner. I got to get out of the way with you or we're going to get run over by the small cars.
Very good.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure, Ken. Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Thanks.
Great interview there with our chief elected official, Mike Frieda. Want to say hi to folks on Facebook. Heather in San Francisco watching, as well as Texas, Florida, and locally here as well as North Haven and Brantford even on the Facebook feed today. Thanks for watching NHTV's live coverage of the 75th North Haven Memorial Day Parade. And what a great day weather-wise. The Pyramid Motor Patrol here. I always said this, Sims. I always would have wanted to drive one of those little cars. Looks like so much fun.
Maybe next year in the parade you can join them.
Oh, that would be great.
You know, their motto is that Shriners ride so that children can walk. It's a very important organization.
Oh, they do so much. And, you know, not to harp on the cars, but just to go back to it, I've seen these cars break down, and I don't know if it's real or not, but they have a little tow truck that comes and tows the little car away. But you're right, the Shriners do so much with their medical, you know, with the hospitals and the burn units and just all that they do for children. It's just an amazing organization.
And it looks like they have a little fun while they do it.
The Pyramid Motor Patrol. Oh, this one's getting towed. I don't know if this one broke down or what, but...
Like,
well, bottom line is he's moving, so...
Exactly.
Still have a lot more to go here as we kind of reach towards the last quarter, I guess, of the parade. Still waiting to see the Connecticut Hurricanes. Couldn't ask for better weather, though. Mid-60s, as I said, and sunny skies, no humidity, just perfect. And a great weekend. Lots of folks are going to be spending time at barbecues and picnics, but remember what this holiday is about, Memorial Day. Not about barbecues and picnics, but about remembering those who gave their lives in the service of our country.
And we are able to have these things. We are able to have these barbecues and these picnics because of those who've given their lives, those who've served for us.
No doubt. This is Wendy's School of Dance. Hearing the sounds of the Pyramid Shriners in the background. Always look forward to the performances put on by the dance schools. This is Wendy's, longtime school run by Wendy Ney here in North Haven. Another thing I'm looking forward to is the antique tractors, G&H equipment, part of the agricultural contingent, I guess here you could say. North Haven for many years was an agricultural community. Not much left now these days in terms of farms, but for many, many years, that's what this town was. It was an agricultural community, much like North Brantford still is, and there is a classic tractor. Towing a little baby tractor. That's cute. Boy, they spend time keeping these tractors in meticulous condition, clean, spotless, and in great mechanical condition as well. Great book if you haven't had a chance. It's been out for a number of years, but former North Haven resident Lucy Brusick wrote a book on the history of town called Amidst Cultivated and Pleasant Fields, again paying homage to our agricultural communities at the time that this town was. And a terrific book on the history of North Haven. I believe that came out around 1986 or 87. And I think they're still on sale at the North Haven Historical Society. So if you want to learn about the history of town here in North Haven, besides the Historical Society, pick up that book at the Historical Society, Amidst Cultivated and Pleasant Fields by Lucy Brucey. And from the classic tractors, we move to the newer tractors of today, G&H, a longtime dealer of John Deere in North Haven for many, many years. I believe this is their third location now, right near the Quinnipiac Bridge, Quinnipiac Avenue Bridge, Maple Avenue. They still sell John Deere as well as Yanmar tractors. It's just some classic tractors here today. Classic. You much of a farmer there, Sims, or no?
I have my green thumb.
Yeah.
I definitely do.
Good.
About as green as the tractors are. As green as my thumb is.
Want another one, or you good? Another classic tractor. North Haven Fair for many years had a huge, still has a good portion of agricultural components. Both the contest they have for the largest different vegetables that are grown, and they have the tractor pulls and that type of thing. So
and coming up now, it's the Connecticut Hurricanes.
this is the entity that we've talked about earlier throughout the coverage today, and I'm sure all of you are familiar with the Hurricanes.
I'm sure they'll demonstrate for us why they have their name.
Yep, they usually kind of pause in the front of the reviewing stand and put on a terrific show. Been around since what year now?
They've been around competitively since 1951.
Wow. Some folks from the American Legion. Large contingent, always part of the presence of the Connecticut Hurricanes here at the parade. At the conclusion of the parade, we're going to hear some remarks from various folks on the stage. Looking forward to hearing what the and seeing what the Hurricanes have to show today.
Looks like they're about to perform. truly magnificent. Really, really, what a wonderful job that they do.
And I don't think they're done yet. Great performance there by the Connecticut Hurricanes. Really a highlight of the parade. What a great job by the Connecticut Hurricanes, Sim. Phenomenal performance. I wish they could perform it all along. That was great.
They truly earned their name. They really did come in like a hurricane.
Yeah. Still got a little bit more to go here, and then, of course, at the conclusion of the parade, you're going to want to stay with us. Some interesting and informative and important comments from folks on the reviewing stand. This is Gloria Jean's Studio of Dance, another longtime dance studio here in North Haven. Decked out in the red, white, and blue. Looking great. We have Miss Farmingbury. Now, I'm going to assume that's Farmington Simsbury, being that they're close, as opposed to, say, Farmington and Middlebury, which really aren't close. And we have Miss Minnie, Connecticut, New York. That's something new, too. I had not heard of that honor before. You see WYBC, and then the Spotlight Stage Company. You said you were into theater. Perhaps there's something for you to do in your spare time, Sims.
It's always good to be part of community theater and the local theater groups. A large sense of community.
Definitely.
Freedom of expression, it's a great thing.
And that's where you start, on the local level, and move up to off-Broadway, maybe off-Broadway, then off-Broadway, then Broadway, right?
Exactly. Maybe off-Broadway,
yeah.
And then
there you go.
add one more off in there.
Nel Khan, owned by the Khan family, Farouk Khan, his son Sal, former owners of the Monowese Rehabilitation Center, and they have just an amazing array. This is just a small portion of the fleet of vehicles they have, of all different sizes. Some of their vehicles, like the unit here, are able to park alongside a highway and swing over the crane and pull a truck out of a ditch, and just amazing. The apparatus they have of all different sizes, including this monster tow truck. And each of these has a different specific purpose. They're not just because they're large, but they're used for certain purposes, different types of heavy-duty rescues and tows.
You have the sanitation truck coming up, another service that is definitely necessary for keeping the city clean.
Public Works Department does a great job in North Haven. Hard-working guys, great department. We have our, of course, every week our trash is picked up and our recycling by our Public Works Department. We don't have a private company doing that. It is a town-run operation. And a great bunch of folks at the Public Works Department. Just about winding down the actual parade itself, but we are going to be heading over to the stage, the reviewing stand, in just a moment to hear some important comments. That is WQUN AM 1220. And unfortunately, it looks like they are near the end of the line. That station is being shut down by Quinnipiac University on May 31st. And unless somebody else purchases it, it will go silent. There's Brian Smith in the driver's seat, former part of the longtime WPLR Smith and Barber morning crew. Now Brian works at WQUN at least until May 31st. Let's head over to the stage and hear comments from folks of the American Legion.
As soon as we can.
Chief, excuse me, what time is it at? That's not really an inside number. Not really an inside number.
Yeah.
Over 70.
75.
It's good to see a nice group of our political friends.
Charlie Burke. Charlie. We're going to get started, so you want to come up and I want to say a few words, or you wanted me to do that first? I was just going to announce, read it. Right. Hey, gentlemen, if you'd like to sit down, we're going to get started. Okay. Our 74th Memorial Day Parade, we're going to honor some people and we're going to have a musical presentation. But before we do anything, I would like to have the Reverend Jim Detweiler come up and give us our opening prayer.
Can we pray together? Gracious Heavenly Father, we come to you on this Memorial Day. We pause to reflect upon our blessings as a nation and the high cost of those blessings. We offer our prayers of thanks and intercession today. Thank you for the freedom that we enjoy in this country, for the opportunities to flourish and the security of our land. Thank you for those who have served in the armed forces of our country, risking their lives for our liberty. Thank you for those who have given their lives in service for our country, sacrificing in such a costly way for the sake of others. We thank you today for a day that is set apart not just for celebration, but also for solemn remembrance as we consider the sacrifices of so many in our military. Oh Lord, may we be more aware of just how blessed we are as a nation. May we be more grateful of our blessings, more faithful in stewarding them well, and eager to share them with others. We pray today for families and friends of those who have given their lives in service for our nation. May they be comforted today in their sadness. May they be reassured that the sacrifices of their loved ones contributes to the worthy cause of freedom. Even as we remember those who've given their lives in the past, we also think of those whose lives are on the line today. Protect them, encourage them, bring them home safely and soon. We pray that you would give wisdom to our leaders of our armed forces, that they might know how to deploy our troops in the cause of freedom and guide those who lead our nation in the international affairs towards peace. We long for the day when people will beat their plows into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. When nation will not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. Lord, we pray that your kingdom would come and that your will would be done on earth as it is in heaven. All praise be to you, God of grace, mercy, and justice. And we thank you. In your great name we pray. Amen.
Next, we will be honoring our POWs and MIAs in a remembrance speech and short ceremony. But before we do that, on the monument over on the green, during World War II, before many of us were even around, there were many people from North Haven that enlisted in the service and were drafted. And one of them never came back and they never found him. He's what we call missing in action. His name is Warren Thompson. And if you ever get an opportunity to go over there and look at it, you can see his name there. Now, in front here we have a table. And I'm going to read to you what we do at every one of our meetings, right over here across the street. It's called the POW MIA Remembrance Service. For those who have served and those currently serving in the uniformed services of the United States are ever mindful that the sweetness of enduring peace has always been tainted by the bitterness of personal sacrifice. We are compelled to never forget that while we enjoy our daily pleasures, there are others who have endured and may still be enduring the agonies of pain, deprivation, and imprisonment. Before we begin our activities, we pause to recognize our POWs and MIAs. We call your attention to the small table in front, which occupies a place of dignity and honor. It is set for one, symbolizing the fact that members of our armed forces are missing from our ranks. They are referred to as POWs and MIAs. We call them comrades. They are unable to be with their loved ones and families, so we join together to pay humble tribute to them and to bear witness to their continued absence. The table is small, symbolizing the frailty of one prisoner alone against his or her suppressors. The tablecloth is white, symbolic of the purity of their intentions to respond to their country's call to arms. A single rose in the base signifies the blood they may have shed in sacrifice to ensure the freedom of the beloved United States of America. The rose also reminds us of the family and friends of our missing comrades who keep faith while awaiting their return. The red ribbon on the vase represents the red ribbons worn on the lapels of the thousands who demand with unyielding determination a proper account of our comrades who are not among us. A slice of lemon on the plate reminds us of their bitter fate. The salt sprinkled on the plate reminds us of the countless fallen tears of the families as they await. The glass is inverted. They cannot toast with us at this time. The chair is empty. They are not here. The candle is reminiscent of the light of hope, which lies in our hearts to illuminate their way home, away from their captors, and to open arms of a grateful nation. The American flag reminds us that many of them may never return, and they have paid the supreme sacrifice to ensure our freedom. Let us pray to the Supreme Commander that all our comrades will soon be back within our ranks. Let us remember and never forget their sacrifice. May God forever watch over them and protect them and their families. Now, before we start, we're going to have a few words from our elected officials. I just want to point out that George Bruler, a soon-to-be 98-year-old World War II veteran, is not with us today. He's not feeling well. And he was a guy who I think attended 35 parades. And today is his first day that he's missing. And he's been a part of this post for many years, over 70 years. Okay, now what I'd like to do is have our first selectman, Mike Frieda, come up and say a few words about Memorial Day.
Thank you very much, Stephen. And thank you for all of you who've joined us today at our Memorial Day parade. Although throughout the annals of history, the origins of Memorial Day sometimes have a couple of different versions, it's generally regarded that on May 5th, 1868, General John Logan unveiled what was thought of at the time as Decoration Day, which was a symbol of Memorial Day. But what is unmistakable and undeniable is that through the course of history, the contributions that have been made by those veterans who've served our country and those who have given their life for our country will always remain as a provocative and compelling legacy to their lives and what they've done for all of us who are here today. One of the little known facts about Memorial Day is that years ago, Congress issued an initiative, and that is that on every Memorial Day at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, they've asked the citizens of the United States to pause just for a moment, pause and reflect on the contributions that have been made of those who have given their lives to serve us. And I say that as a gentle reminder, 3 o'clock on Memorial Day, if you would consider that. The veterans are very important to us here in North Haven. We support this Post 76 on their 100th year anniversary. We will never forget each of you who are with us today who have served and those who have given their lives. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for being here today.
Next, we'd like to have up here Dave Yacarino, our state rep, and just to let you know that after the ceremony concludes today, he is involved in a clothing drive for the men and women veterans, and it's located at the firehouse. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve, and thank you all for being here today. It's just wonderful to see so many wonderful people in North Haven and from around the state. Today we celebrate and we remember the men and women that served to protect us but gave the ultimate sacrifice. So it's an honor and a privilege to speak of these men and women that served us. As we move forward, if you look back from the Civil War to the Revolutionary War to World War I to World War II, which the 75th anniversary of D-Day is coming June 6th of this year, it'll be 75 years. And on that day, about 26,000 Americans and British Allied forces stormed the beaches of Normandy and the surrounding area. And over 4,400 men and women died that day for our liberties and our freedoms. So every day we should take the time to give them thanks. And it's amazing how people just step up and serve this country. But it's for our freedoms. And when they go off to fight for us and protect us, it's protect us as one country, one united country. And I would hope every day after Memorial Day and moving forward that we do that. We take the time to listen to one another and respect each other and do what men and women did for us. And we should do that back for them. And never forget their families, because their families, when somebody goes off to battle, It's the families that sacrifice at home. So I want to wish you a wonderful weekend, but also give thanks to the men and women that gave the ultimate sacrifice for all of us. And before I finish, you haven't played yet, but Mr. Tedeschi's band, you guys are amazing. And I want to thank you. I want to thank the Post 76, the men and women that volunteer. But it's really the people of a community. That's why we have men and women that protect us for our freedom and our liberties. So please try to remember that and give thanks and respect one another. God bless.
And now we have State Senator Martin Looney.
Thank you, Steve. It's an honor and a pleasure to be with you here today. We always try to encourage young people, and in fact, people of all ages, to have a concern for public service, for generosity, for a sense of community, to look beyond their own narrow interests to the greater good. But what model could we have of service than those who actually gave the ultimate amount of service, putting their lives at risk and losing their lives in service to others and in service to their country? That level of dedication and courage and selflessness is something that none of us should ever lose sight of on any day, because whatever minor sacrifices that we're called upon to make and whatever opportunities we have for public service never happen with the risks at stake of what those people have faced, the courage they faced, the act of dying and knowing at the moment of death that they were never going to see another day, but that they were giving it all for their country and for the safety of our freedoms at home. So that is something that we should never just gloss over and say that this is just another Memorial Day, another holiday. This one is really sacred for that reason. And for those of us who have the good fortune to represent you in public office, your dedicated First Selectman Mike Frieda and Senator Fasano and Representative Iaccarino and I, who represent you in Hartford, we are grateful for the opportunity of service that you provide us. So it is wonderful to be with you today to celebrate this truly sacred day. Thank you.
Okay, next we're going to have our Grand Marshal say a few words, and I'm just going to introduce him a second or two here. Charles Morrissey has been a teacher in North Haven, New Haven for many years. He's also been a member of the Foot Guard. He has 5 children and his wife Jen. I don't know how many grandchildren, but I think 8. Am I correct?
9.
9. My wife and I are going to find out. We're going to have our first grandchild. They're having one of those gender reviews after this parade ceremony. Charles, after graduating from Providence College, taught, and then he went into the Army as a first lieutenant. And Charlie taught in North Haven for 35 years, and 1 or 2 years, I can't remember exactly, in New Haven. I met him as a teacher in 1976. We took a course called Teaching About the New Metric System because we were going to be on it in 4 years. I guess that didn't work out. But when he was in the service, he was stationed primarily processing the deceased men and women that came back from Vietnam. And he's a dedicated person. I've known him for so long, and he is our very special guest today as Grand Marshal. Charles?
Thank you, Steve. I've been involved with the North Haven Parade over 30 years in a row. Many of you have seen me in my mug standing here in front of you for the last number of years. One of the things that strikes me as being most important about today is the fact that we need to concentrate more on the things we share together than the things that make us different. If you look at the news and see all the different things that are happening in our country, unfortunately, the things that make the news seem to be people who are highlighted for their differences, whatever that may be. The people we are celebrating today were Americans, some of them not even U.S. citizens when they went in, and they fought for our country at a time when it was necessary, whether it was World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, or the multitude of wars in the Middle East. Some came home. They were injured, wounded, and they gave a lot. They gave up, in many cases, a future that was bright and had to accept limitations. We never should focus on our differences. We always should focus on the things that make us Americans. People of the town of North Haven, I have had the privilege of living here since 1968, of working in our public schools, working in the American Legion for over 30 years, and I have never found a finer group of people to work with and to work for. Thank you very much for coming today. I'll cut my blathering to an end now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Charlie. That was excellent. And now, Ken Tedeschi's band, high school kids, are ready for a musical performance. Thank you very much, Ken, and thanks to the boys and girls of the North Haven Band. Okay, before we have our closing prayer and the wreath-laying ceremony, I just want to thank all the members of the Post that helped out, and especially our organizer and the planner of the parade. He's sitting right here in front of me, Nick Mastriani. Let's give him a big hand. Okay, Reverend Morrow.
Let us pray. Most holy and gracious God, we give thanks for the blessings of this day, for the blessing of celebrating our town and our neighborhood, for the joy of watching the young people of this town and our neighbors celebrate the activities that bring them together, their love for our community, and the joy that we feel when we're together. As we prepare to go from this ceremony, may we take with us through this weekend a particular joy and gratitude that is leavened by awareness of sacrifice. May we take with us the loving memory of those from our town and other places who have given unselfishly, even to the point of giving their own lives, that we might enjoy the very freedoms, the very beauty of the day we receive today. And may we take up, each one of us, a renewed sense of our own service we might offer. A renewed intention to listen more carefully to our neighbors, to hear the stories of service to town and country, to hear the stories of waiting for loved ones to come home from their watchful posts or their battles far away. Help us to be grateful for those who, at the very time that we relax and celebrate and enjoy, are manning posts with vigilance and determination in far-off places, long ways from their families and loved ones. Help us to carry with us the blessings of this day, the gratitude for them, and to share them with others in reverence to you. Amen.
And now I'm going to turn it over to our commander, Charles Burke, for the wreath-laying ceremony across the street.
Thanks, Marty. Good to see you.
And with that, the 74th North Haven Memorial Day weekend ceremonies and parade conclude. And we've had a wonderful mix of patriotism, entertainment, memories, and looking ahead.
It was wonderful, and so many different generations coming together, and incredible diversity, everybody together. You know, the whole quintessential American spirit very much on display, and it was really a marvelous way to spend today, and I was so glad to be able to spend it with you.
It was a pleasure to have you with us, and the turnout was quite nice, one of the largest in recent times. It sort of built up as
Yes.
people began coming in from other activities, and it ended on a very poignant and solemn note. The taps and the wreath laying, and everybody now just kind of gathering and hugging each other. A lot of people going on with the band. So for NHTV live and on replay, this is Ken Bennett thanking you for joining us.
And this is Lonnie Reed, and you know, stay safe and have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend.
Thank you. Bye.
The preceding program is brought to you in part through a grant from the town of North Haven. Watch town meetings or other videos on demand at nhtv.com.